Hello and welcome back to another episode of our show. I am so excited for the guest we have today. She is a personal friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, a published author, founder of an incredible foundation called She Is Powerful, and also an incredible professional dancer. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Thanks for coming and nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to
time meeting.
Nice to meet you too.
Can you start by just telling everyone about your background and some of your personal history?
Yeah, with dance or...
I guess specifically when it comes to dance, and maybe She Is Powerful, and also, about some of your upbringing, because I feel like your story is so inspiring. It's so intense, but it's also like such an important story, and it's very empowering. And I would love for you to share.
Okay. So I'm a professional dancer. I started dancing basically inside my mom's belly. You understand.
Definitely. We met through dance.
Yeah, we met through dance.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I just grew up watching, let's see, An American in Paris, Singing in the Rain, West Side Story. I always loved musicals, and I'm not a singer, but I just loved dancing. I loved tap. And so I started dancing at the age of 3 throughout my whole childhood. Still dance. Dance is my medicine. Dance heals me. Dance connects to my body. And I started this nonprofit called She Is Powerful in 2014. I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse. I was sexually abused at 5 years old throughout my whole childhood through 7 different people. And my relationship with dance, honestly, that was the only time that I could connect with my body. That's when I knew dance was my medicine. Dance was something that really healed me, and it connected me to my body, something that was taken away from me at such a young age. So merging those two passions, I don't want to say that's my passion. The abuse part, but merging my experience from what happened to me as a child and dance, just having that connection together. I knew that I wanted to share my experiences with other young girls who've experienced the things that I've experienced. If it's one time, if it's multiple times, if it's trafficking, any form of sexual abuse, sex exploitation, sex trafficking, I really just wanted to share that experience and know that they can heal from that in a body movement way.
Wow. So
that was a lot.
No,
It's such a beautiful story, though, because I think turning your pain into your power has been such a powerful thing for so many women and so many people that you've helped. And as also yourself, it's been part of your healing journey, and you're doing such beautiful work. I think you were going to ask a question.
Yeah. I agree with everything you just said. And thank you for opening up and sharing that, really. And you described the movement, the dance, as a way for you to reconnect with this part of your body that you felt like because of the abuse was taken from you. So that made me think, something that I've heard from other survivors that have shared stories with me is that there's a dissociation that can happen from your body. So are you comfortable describing that? I take it that during that time, your childhood, you didn't really feel present with yourself. Is that something that happens following any sort of abuse?
Absolutely. You just feel like the fight or flight mode.
Okay.
The numbness that comes over your body. I just felt like when the abuse happened, my body floating out of and just watching what was happening. It was really hard for me to really understand, being at such a young age, having the abuse start at 5 years old.
Of course.
You have no idea what's happening.
I don't know.
No concept of what's going on.
No. And you think that it's normal, but you're not supposed to tell anybody. And it's your secret. And I definitely feel like there's, that relationship where they start you very young. We're oh, this is our little secret. This is something that we have together. And then you're oh, that's really exciting. This is our secret. But although it's a really bad secret.
Just tell.
Yeah, you can just tell. And I think throughout my whole life, that's why I feel like dance really helps me connect with my body, because that was the only time that I could really just be okay, this is my body. This is nobody else's. They're not going to do anything. And, but I honestly felt besides dance, I was like floating through my life and like just watching myself do things or like experience things that I never thought that it would happen to me. So disassociation was definitely my best friend throughout my adult years. I mean, even now, something that I'm definitely working on still.
Okay.
It's a process, and there's so many layers to constantly be peeling back, and especially when you experience any kind of trauma, but especially something so deeply traumatic and at such a young age.
It's so powerful because you mentioned the fight or flight response. Well, sometimes when you're a child, you can't fight or flight. You can't leave and you can't fight back. So disassociation is such a powerful coping mechanism, especially for kids. Yeah, that makes so much sense.
And it's really interesting too how you say, you were sort of told to keep these things a secret. And I feel like a lot of people that maybe have experienced this type of abuse, even in adult years, and are maybe not told to keep it a secret, they still don't feel like they could talk about it openly.
Yeah.
It feels like there's still a major disassociation because it's such a violating crime against anyone's body who's experiencing any kind of sexual abuse or sex trafficking or exploitation. And I love, though, that we keep using the word powerful because your foundation, which is She Is Powerful, is doing such powerful work and making such incredible differences in so many people's lives. What was the turning point that inspired you to start She Is, and how did you start it? What can you go through some of the things that you guys do? And I know you take some incredible trips. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, the classes you teach.
Well, this is how I started She Is. So I was groomed by my cousin at 12 years old, and I started stripping at 16.
Wow.
But she told me when I was 15, before I was turning 16, she was just like, on your 16th birthday, you're going to start stripping to make money. And I mean, backstory with that, I know it's heavy. But my parents separated when I was like 11, 12 years old. And I moved with my mom because, I'm the girl. So I go with my mom, even though it was really hard for me to leave my dad. My mom's family all live in Orange County. So, I live with my mom, and, she was a single mom working. So she had family out there, or we had family out there. So my cousin would take me to school to,
Okay.
And she had 2 younger kids also.
Your cousin did?
My cousin.
Okay.
So we developed this bond where I looked up to her. So I was just I just want to be just like her.
Yep.
So since my parents were never there for me, I had this relationship where I'm like, okay, she picks me up from school. She takes me to go eat because my mom was never home. So we just developed this relationship where I trusted her. I loved her. I would do anything for her. And money was always something that we always struggled with growing up. And, she had nice things, and she just loved designer bags. She had a Mercedes, and me not having anything. She's like, why don't you just start stripping? You're a dancer anyway. Then, you can make some money. And
was she a stripper herself?
No, but everybody says that.
Interesting.
Everybody says that. Yeah.
I was assuming that maybe she was grooming you because she was also a stripper.
No, she just saw an opportunity. And so I started stripping. And during that time, I'm so rebellious because when I was abused and I told my parents, nothing happened, nothing changed. So it's
did they acknowledge what you'd gone through?
No.
They didn't take it at face value?
No. So I was just, I don't know, it was just really difficult. So I was really rebellious, fighting, and at school, not getting really good grades. I grew up with a learning disability. So it's just all these layers. And then here's somebody who comes to me and says I love you. I want to do anything to hurt you. And so I started stripping on my 16th birthday, and I was just, so junior, what is the high school?
Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Okay. So sophomore graduation.
I know it's confusing.
Sophomore that summer, because I'm a Cancer, so my birthday is June 30th. On that day, I went to the strip club and
That was it.
started stripping, and she would take all my money.
No.
She would take all, she'd be like, oh, I'm going to save your money. No, she ended up keeping the money.
I feel sick about, that.
So I didn't have, when we were going to open up a bank account for myself, there was no money left. There was like 400 and something. And I was like, I made $400 on a bad night. Like, what are you talking about? Because men at the strip club, they would see this young girl being only just turning 16 years old. They're like, oh, okay. Like, I want to dance with this. Like, bleh. So she just like ended up taking my money. I call her now, like she was my trafficker. She was my pimp. But although she took my money, it was okay because I was mad at her, but I was okay with it because she was the only one that was showing me any affection, any love, so when you're 5 years old and this happens to you, like, who do you turn to if your parents don't even believe you or acknowledge this thing that is happening? And I think I used to make excuses for my parents and be like, well, they were at a time when nobody talked about this, and which, they weren't, but there were so many other years where they could have made up and talked to me and be like, listen, what happened? Like,
have they since?
They sent,
because I know you're pretty close to your parents.
I'm very close with my family now, but we still don't really talk about it.
Okay.
So
parents are only ever doing the best they can.
Yeah.
It's really hard to acknowledge the fact that they're just, humans and like, I guess, grown up children trying to figure out how to navigate life too. But can be very traumatic. We all carry trauma from our parents.
We do. And something I want to point out sounds like from your story is that like this theme of like this older cousin had everything you not only wanted, but that you needed because you were such a vulnerable child from what had happened to you, that, there was this longing for a parental figure or someone to look up to, someone to fill that void. And you were vulnerable. And it sounds like, saw that and saw an opportunity, like you said. And I think that's very thematic and criminal and whatever word I can even think of for that. So it makes sense that you were willing to let go of the money because she was giving you something that to you didn't have a price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
When did you realize, what you were saying, she's your pimp and your trafficker. Yeah. When did you make that realization?
It wasn't until I started doing the work on myself, she is in 2014 and going to trainings and listening to other survivors speak. And I was like, oh my God. So she trafficked me, because we have this assumption that traffickers are like, they take them with chains and they ship them, and 93% know they're traffickers.
Wow.
And usually it is family members, friends, family members from like friends, and that's how so you're like, what the hell? 93%?
93% of victims know they're traffickers.
Yeah.
That's chilling.
It's mind blowing. That immediately, my brain wonders, like, as an adult, and there might not be a clear answer for this, but is there anything that you can think of someone could have done at that time to kind of intervene? Like, is there something that either a family member that's an adult, someone can do to intervene for a child that's going through that?
Absolutely. Like, I feel like when you see your child's like behavioral change or acting out, being a rebel, getting into fights at school, grades dropping, I think that's like, wait, what is going on here? Because those things were happening. Like, I was experiencing all these things, and I feel like my parents could have done something, or, my brothers, somebody could have stepped in and did something. But honestly, I didn't even know what was happening to me either. Like, I couldn't, I'm just a teenager, and I'm like, oh, well, this is how teenagers act. And obviously growing up in a bad area also, so that doesn't help. But there's been so many times where I wish somebody would have said like, hey, what's going on?
Okay.
Like, So, and I think for parents really noticing these red flags, like what is happening to my child? There's just like a behavioral change.
Yeah.
Like, let me talk to her or him and see what's going on. So I really wish that would have happened. But also, when I was 16 and when I was in the strip club, and I think this is a huge moment of where my life has gone. When she dropped me off at the strip club, I was like scared alone. Like, I just turned 16. I don't know what's going on. And, all the dancers were like in their little cubicles. And then I go into the bouncer takes me to the back and he's like, okay, this is where you're going to get ready and start changing. And it was just like this garage looking like area. And there was it was like cement, and there was, luggages there from girls who, come and work the weekends. And I sat down on this bench and I'm changing into the clothes that my cousin gave me to wear. And I sit down and I see this like mirror, and it's all cracked, and there's glitter, and there's, stickers on it. And I just sat there and I was just like, how did I get here? Me, somebody who was raised watching Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, and Debbie Reynolds, and like wanted to be a dancer. And here I am at a strip club. And I just sat there for a moment and I felt like this, I don't know, the universe telling me like, you have to be here there's a bigger purpose.
Oh.
And you have to experience these things. And I don't know what it was. I know I get chills every time I tell this story because and I knew I was exactly what I'm doing with She Is. I knew there was a bigger purpose. And this is what it is, because how are we going to get the courage to speak up about something? Like, I feel like I wore this blanket of shame for my whole life. And I got into drugs. I tried to commit suicide. I almost got into prostitution because of my cousin and dropping me off at a hotel. There's so many things that I'm like, how am I still here? Like, I don't understand. But it's like, how do I get the courage to speak up and tell my experiences? Like, how? Well, I know that if I was to see a little girl, a little boy who experienced the thing, I would never want anybody to experience the things that I've experienced. I know that I have to get courage and just rip off this shame that I have and all these layers and just tell my experiences. And whoever hears me knows like, oh, I'm not alone, because I always felt like I was alone. I felt like I was the only person that this has ever happened to because nobody talked about it. And I feel like the first step to healing is talking about it, knowing that you're not alone. And this shame is just a facade. Like, this is not who you are. And really stepping into your power and know that this is never going to happen to me ever again. And I want these young kids to know, like, you're not dirty. You're not disposable. Like, you matter. You mean something to this world. And I'm sorry for the experiences that happened to you, but let me help you. Let me guide you and help you, and know that you can get out of this. This is not who you are. And I think from She Is and seeing these young girls and know that they feel so alone, or their parents sell them for a TV, or just like, no, I want to help you. I want to be there for you, and just know like you're safe with me, and I will never let anything happen to you ever again. And that's, if I can do this all over the world, which I do try to go to Cambodia and Thailand and stuff like that. But it really breaks my heart. If we can take one thing from this world and never be existing would be sexual abuse. I wish that wasn't even like a thing. Yep. I wish it was just like, no, why do you want to do this to a child? It doesn't I don't know.
No, same. I can't fathom.
There's no way to make it make any sense in any capacity.
Yeah.
No.
What was the turning point and like time frame of you starting She Is? So you're stripping, and what was, like, how did you start it? What were the first steps that you took? What was the like moment where you were like, I need to do something and turn this into something that, I can call my own and really help make a change for other people?
I took this I was stripping. I was taking this writing class called Writing Through Your Life. It was like another form of therapy, with a group of other women, because I think I was doing one-on-one therapy. It wasn't as effective because I still felt alone.
Totally.
So doing this group therapy, writing, I just met other women who were survivors of abuse. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone. Wow. Okay. And then I started sharing my story, and a lot of the other people could relate. And then I started volunteering with this organization called Women Empowered, and just meeting other women who, started their own business, started their own nonprofit. And I became a board member to Women Empowered, and I started mentoring young girls and teaching dance classes.
Wow.
And it wasn't enough for me. And I was just like, I want to do more.
Because did you see like that it was helping the girls that you were working with?
100%.
Really?
And it was dance like helping them sort of get back into their bodies the way it had helped you? Is that what you were seeing?
And I taught at this organization called Children of the Night, which is located in Van Nuys. And this one girl was like really resistant to the class. She's like, I'm not going to take dance class. And just would sit and just pout. And then I got upset. I was like, listen, I used to take it really personal in the beginning. Now I can't really take it personal.
Sure.
But I was getting so upset. Like, why isn't she taking my class? And then she was just like, you don't understand what I've been through. You have no idea what my parents did to me. And I was like, I understand what happened to you. Like, if anything, I understand more. And that's why I'm here, because I'm here to help you, because I know what you feel. And I know that you've been alone, and I know that you feel ashamed, but I'm here as like a service to you to know that dance is so healing, and it can help you, and it can connect with your body. And then when I taught there for like a few months, she was like the best dancer in the class.
Oh,
wow.
I was like,
oh my gosh, that's incredible.
That's so beautiful to hear.
Yeah, she was just like, after that, she wanted to start choreographing and like doing her own thing. She's like, look what I came up with today. And she would put Beyonce on, and she'd be like this. And I'll be like, yes, girl.
So awesome.
That was the cutest.
Oh. And so then you started working with like more and more girls, and it just became, you started your own foundation.
Yeah, I started in 2014, and we did our first mission trip that year.
What made you want to do that? Because I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even find the girls to work with, or the people?
My two of my board members, Michelle and Aaron, they were actually at an event where Destiny Rescue, which is a nonprofit we work with internationally, they had girls that are rescued from KTVs and brothels, and they stay at the shelter, and they learn how to cook, how to do hair, how to do nails, like lifestyle stuff, so they can help them get jobs out into the real world, so they can make money doing that, or starting your own business. So they met up with him, and we told them that we teach dance and what we do. So then we just decided to do a mission trip, do a fundraiser, raise money, not only for She Is, but for Destiny Rescue also. And then we funded our own tickets to go, and we went to Thailand for the first time, and we worked with 63 girls.
Wow.
Taught 2 classes, and it was just amazing. And I'm like, because we think that we actually think trafficking only happens overseas, and it happens here. If anything, it's California, New York, and Texas that are like the number 1 states for trafficking. So we just fell in love with doing mission trips. So we try to do one every year. We haven't since COVID. So we've just been teaching online.
Okay.
But that's been going really well as well, right?
Yeah, it goes really good.
Do you feel like you're able to reach more people that way?
We do, but it's really hard because a lot of the girls are home from the shelter. So it's just a little weird to adjust.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's better in person.
Are they? Yeah.
I do feel like it's better in person.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's just,
we get to have that one-on-one experience, and they get to like see you face to face. And,
man,
I feel like I went,
no, it's okay. There's a lot. There's like so much to talk about, and we don't want to glaze over any of this.
No.
Because it's such an important topic. And like you said, this is the type of thing that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
Because there is so much shame around it and so much secrecy. And it's like, the more you talk about it, the more that people who have survived sexual abuse or are going through sexual abuse right now can know that they are not alone.
Well, and even honestly, me, Bella, like sexual abuse is fortunately not a part of my story, but you know, we all have stories of our own, and shame is very integral to my story. And hearing you talk about it, like I can really see it's like visible to me, the freedom that you really have from that. But it was so refreshing to hear you say that, like, still today, sometimes, because often I can feel like ashamed about my shame because I'm like, I should be farther along. I should be through this. I should be, but like, it's a process, and knowing that there is freedom. And I'm not a dancer. And to be honest, it makes me want to explore dance more, because why not? It sounds like such a powerful tool, you know, for anybody that's particularly overcoming sexual abuse, but maybe anybody too that's just experiences dissociation and shame, a way to get back into our bodies.
That's such a good point. And especially like, at least for the style that Bella and I, or the styles that Bella and I love so much, there's a lot of like sexuality in it and sensuality. But for me, and I want you to speak to this as well, like it's so not about showing off or getting attention, even though it can look like that, especially if I'm wearing like bustiers or corsets or high heels. Like, you know, I think a lot of people might look at that and just be like, ugh, like, what is this? What, you know? Sure. And to me, I just feel so empowered in my own body. And it's such a way for me to like let off so much steam and to feel sensual and to like appreciate my divine feminine and get in my body and just love myself. And that's what the experience is for me. So I kind of wanted you to speak about how, you know, you incorporate the sensuality into dance and into everything you do without making it, you know, sexually exploitive.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, that's really, it's hard, to be honest, because I feel like that I run a nonprofit. And I feel guilty being a burlesque dancer also, because I do burlesque. Right. But aside from that, like going to heels class. And so I always struggled with merging the two.
I feel like you do such a beautiful job of it, though. You're so graceful. Well, it's a process.
Yeah. It is a process, because when I started Shia's, when somebody found out that I, you know, did a heels class or did burlesque, they're like, oh, we're not going to invest our money into you. And I was like, what? Wow. And saying horrible things. I'm like, if anything, I'm the best person to run a nonprofit, because I was abused, trafficked, and I was a stripper. So I know the difference from stripping and from being a professional dancer. Like, I know, I experienced it. I was a stripper for 10 years. So,
and how dare someone, an outsider, it's like what they're saying is like, yeah, when you were abused, someone else got to define your sexuality, but now you can't. Yeah. How dare you define your own? Like, that's so whack to me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah.
No, it's so true.
What you said.
Like, girl, bye.
Yeah, I know. But it was so hurtful, because I think that I was really working through so much. And I think as a survivor, and as anybody who's healing through trauma, like there are steps and things that we need to do, self-care, self-love for ourselves. And now that I am merging the two, being a burlesque dancer and running a nonprofit, I feel so empowered.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And knowing that I started teaching burlesque classes during COVID and stuff online, and other women who were struggling with so much about their body shame, not feeling sexy, not feeling confident, not feeling like a divine woman with so much power. And now that I'm teaching these women, I'm like, yes, like I want you to have all of the power and feel confident inside. Like, why do we have to shame ourselves? Why do we have to belittle ourselves? Why should we feel this way? We're all beautiful beings, and we're all, you know, wanting something that we're like, oh, we can't have. No, you can have anything that you want. And I just feel like merging these two together now, I'm like, hell. Yeah, I'm saying a bad word. But
we're going to put the explicit mark next to our show, next to our podcast. So,
and I love it. And honestly, being a burlesque dancer and performing, I feel so, this is my body, nobody else's. Yeah. Finally. And that's what I want these women to feel. Like it's your body. And like I said, even if you've never been abused or whatever trauma, because we've all experienced some form of trauma, no matter what it looks like. And I just really want us to feel so empowered with ourselves. Man, women, trans, non-binary, anything.
Everything. That is so beautiful, Bella. That's amazing. And like to hear how you just transformed that and really took back your power and said, I'm going to be sexy in my way and feel my body in my way. And also that makes me think immediately of what I've seen of your work so far. On the lighter note,
oh my God.
No pun intended. On the lighter note, the fire breathing, like the video where like there's the fire in your mouth. I mean, I'm like, what?
It's
First
crazy.
of all,
you guys have to look her up. She is the most phenomenal dancer and she dances with fire and it's crazy.
And it's crazy. And I like on a baseline practical level, like, honestly, how does your mouth not catch on fire? Like, how does that, is there tricks that to the trade? Like, are you just magical?
I am magical.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Magical,
I'll take that answer. Yeah. Okay. So when you first started doing that though, were there any, like, cause I imagine there's a lot of danger. Were there any like mishaps or like near misses where you're like, oh my gosh, did your hair catch on fire? Like anything?
Well, when you first started working with fire, my fire teacher was just like, okay, now let's just try to burn your hair. I'm like, why do you mean I have to burn my hair? She's like, because I want you to see how fire burns. It doesn't go, it goes. And I was like, okay, so she did that. And, just building a relationship with fire and trusting the fire. Now I'm like going crazy with it. Like, I don't even care. But the first time that I did dance with the fire, I was like this. I was so scared because I'm like on a bar. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to move, but I'm going to use everything else. And then I remember I was whipping the fire around and then like a little piece of the wick like landed on somebody's shirt. And they were like, I was like, oh my God. I was so scared because I thought it would go, because that's what we think. And no, it just went, and she was like, oh my God. And she was like, okay.
And it was fine.
Yeah, it was totally fine. So no, nothing major, knock on wood.
Okay. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy, but I just have so much fun.
Oh, you're such a stunning fire dancer.
Thank you.
And everything dancer. I was telling her while she's in town, like, we have to come see you perform.
Yeah.
I would love that.
How long are you out here for?
I'm here till the 14th.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. I would love.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this week.
Okay, so this week we're going.
Yes.
Perfect. I can't wait.
How can we get involved with She Is? I know personally, like, I love performing for you guys when you have events and things like that. But how can
someone like me
and I want to know how I can get involved even more so. So I'd love for the listeners to know. And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, our website, sheispowerful.org. All the pages that we have, there's always ways that you can volunteer, donate, reach out to us through Instagram on there. Email me at sheispowerful.org if you have any questions. If you need any resources and you don't live in LA, but you live overseas somewhere, I can definitely connect you with somebody if you're looking for help with abuse, trafficking, anything, or therapy, any forms of help that you guys need. Like,
that's amazing.
Available.
It's amazing.
Thank you for sharing.
I have another follow-up question.
Please, I feel like there's more.
You know, I live in Ohio off of I-75, in between like Detroit and Cincinnati. So there's a lot of human trafficking that goes on along that highway. So I'm curious, like from your experience, because you're an expert in this, what can someone do like right away if they suspect that they're witnessing any sort of trafficking or abuse of any kind? Like, what can a person do? Is it best to call 911 or what's the best thing to?
I don't think 911, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't really heard anything good or that they really do anything. I think RAINN, RAINN, is an organization that have like a hotline. And if you want, like, I can give resources to you guys.
We'll definitely link resources on all of our platforms.
Please.
There is help that you can get out there and somebody who will listen and support you, because it is hard when I've heard experiences from 911 not really doing anything.
I know.
Okay.
So it's just,
yeah. Good to know.
That's good to know.
Great question.
Yeah.
Great question. I also wanted to ask you about some of the other you are outspoken about a lot of other things that you're passionate about. One of them being veganism and animal rescue. And so if you wanted to speak about that at all, we'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Absolutely.
Well, I just think animals are so precious. I don't want to hurt any. It's hard.
We're both vegans. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Good. I don't know about the listeners. We're not trying to preach anything. We're just having a
small
conversation.
Animal rescue as well back home. So I understand. I'm with you. I want to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
I was actually raised vegetarian. My dad didn't like the way that the food was processed out here.
Oh.
So he actually taught us at a really young age how the meat industry was. So
Cool.
I knew at such a young age. And it wasn't until like I got into the dairy farms, how they treat animals. And I just don't agree with that at all. Like, I don't think we should hurt anybody. It really breaks my heart. I follow so many of them on my Instagram. And even though like, my partner was like, because I get so emotional. She's like, why do you do this to yourself? I was like, because I need to know what's happening and how am I going to support them if I don't see anything?
Yeah.
Or educate other people.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole problem is most of us have our heads in the sand.
Yeah.
And we don't know.
Sure.
I mean, also we don't necessarily have our heads in the sand on purpose. We're just not given the information. So we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I try my best to donate or, whatever your rescue is. Like during the holidays, I was like donating to this one, donating to this one.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah. Just cause like, I get really emotional. I can't hurt an animal. And I'm like, don't you guys know what they do? Like you want to put this in your body. This is probably bad, but my brother is diabetic and we fight all the time about me being a vegan. Like it's just the topic of discussion all the time. And I'm like, wait, aren't you diabetic? And it's probably going to happen to my nieces. Like, do you not care what you put in your body?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know.
So there's been some controversy.
Yes. It's hard.
Yeah.
But,
But you're doing the right thing.
I mean, do you feel like too, that was an extension of like, the compassion that you began to show yourself and to others? It was just a natural extension into the animal world as well. Like you seem so compassionate.
Yeah. 100%. I am a Cancer, so I feel like I'm very nurturing too. So I'm like, I don't know. I always want to do the right thing.
And you have to take care of others.
Yeah. And I do. I know that I was put here to be of service to others and what I can do. So I definitely feel like that. One of my best friends, Erin, she did a speech at one of our fundraisers and she was and I never thought about this. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds really good. You know how like we don't think of ourselves as like this. We're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like
it's just me.
This is me. This is what I want to do for the world. But she's like, she drives a Prius. She doesn't eat meat. She loves the animals and she tries to do that. And I was like,
that's her. She's the greatest friend. She's always been like the most caring person. She goes above and beyond for everybody she knows. You give the best gifts also for every Christmas, every birthday for reasons you're like, why'd you bring me this? It's like not even a holiday of any kind. And just
so
always
sweet.
thoughtful. You always take into consideration a person's personality and their interests. And you just always show up as a friend. You're there to give love at any time of day or night. The best advice. You're such an amazing person all around. And I'm so proud of everything you're doing.
Sweet.
It's just really beautiful to watch you and watch the impact that you're making and the beautiful work you're doing in the world and how many people you're helping. I'm being so brave to share your story and putting out a book that I know was not easy for you to write. Oh, you guys, I'd love for you to share just anything extra that you feel, if there's anything else you want to share. Or if not, where people can find you and follow your journey.
Well, I did write a book.
Yeah, she did.
It took me 8 years, to write. And we shot a documentary. So you guys can really see. Yes.
How incredible. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah. We shot a documentary.
Is this separate from the She Is documentary?
This is our She Is documentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did know about it. I'm not a horrible friend.
Where can we watch
amazing.
it?
Well, we just finished it not too long ago, but we do have our sizzle reel that's out right now. So if you guys want to watch it, but just so you guys can, I've always loved documentary films because I love stories. I love rawness. I love, the realness of documentaries. And I just wanted people to see what we do. and, you know, fly to Southeast Asia and see the work we do with the girls, the KTVs, and just talk to them and what they've experienced and what they've gone through. So it took us a long time, but it's finally done. So we just have to shop it around. But the sizzle reel is out, so you guys can just see what we do.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud of you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Do you want to give your Instagram as well for people to follow you?
At Bella's Pink Machete.
Because she is a badass.
I love that.
And at She Is Powerful, is there an underscore in there?
Yeah, she is _powerful.
Yeah. You can follow along on all the things they're doing, all the great work.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Hope you got something from this conversation. I know I did.
Oh, I did.
So
big time.
thankful that you did this with us.
Thank you,
Thank
Bella.
you.
It was an honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
See you soon.